Look into the eyes of a dog. What do you see? You see adoration. You see loyalty that defies logic. You see a creature that will wait at the front door for hours, trembling with anticipation, just because you walked out to get the mail. If you are sad, they rest their head on your knee. If you are in danger, they will gladly throw their fragile bodies between you and death. We have a name for this. We call it unconditional love. We write poems about it. We make movies about it. We comfort ourselves with the belief that in a cold, chaotic universe, at least one creature loves us purely and completely. But what if that love is a lie? Not a malicious lie, but a biological one. What if the devotion your dog shows you isn't a choice at all? In our last episode, we uncovered the uncomfortable truth about cats. We learned how a solitary predator walked out of the desert, observed our psychological vulnerabilities, and hacked our biological systems to turn us into their willing servants. Cats are the ultimate manipulators. But dogs? Dogs are not the manipulators. They are the manipulated. Today, we are going to strip away the romanticism of man's best friend. We are going to look at the cold, hard science of evolution, genetics, and psychology. And we are going to discover that the creature sleeping at your feet wasn't born to love you. They were engineered to. Welcome to Episode 2, The Manufactured Soul. Body content. The Great Genetic Hijack. To understand the depth of what we have done to the dog, we have to go back, way back. Between 15,000 and 30,000 years ago, during the harsh winters of the Pleistocene epoch. The story we like to tell ourselves is a story of partnership. A brave hunter sitting by a campfire, tossing a scrap of meat to a curious, friendly wolf. A mutual agreement, a pact between two apex predators to survive the Ice Age together. It's a beautiful story, but evolution doesn't care about beautiful stories. Evolution only cares about survival. The gray wolves that began scavenging around human camps were not our friends. They were terrifying, highly intelligent pack hunters, but some of them were slightly less aggressive. They had a slightly lower flight or fight response. Those wolves got closer to the fire. They got more scraps. They survived longer and had more puppies. This was the first phase, natural selection. But what happened next was entirely unnatural. Once humans realized that these less aggressive wolves could be useful, as alarms, as hunters, as weapons, we stopped letting nature make the decisions. We took control. We engaged in the most extensive, ruthless, and successful genetic engineering project in the history of the planet. Long before we knew what DNA was, we were rewriting it. We took the majestic, independent wolf, and we began to systematically break it down, designing the mind. If you want to control a creature completely, you can't just change its body. You have to change its mind. Think about the psychological profile of a wolf. A wolf is fiercely independent. A wolf matures quickly. A wolf challenges authority and operates within a complex, shifting hierarchy. A wolf does not look at a human and feel love. It feels calculated caution. To create the dog, we had to erase the wolf. Scientists have compared the genetic code of modern dogs to modern wolves, looking for the exact mutations that made them so friendly. What they found in 2017 sent shockwaves through the scientific community. They discovered variations in a specific region of the dog's DNA, specifically on chromosome 6. These genetic mutations directly affect the dog's social behavior, making them overwhelmingly, obsessively friendly. But here's the truly terrifying part. Do you know where else we see this exact same genetic mutation? In humans. There is a rare genetic condition in humans called Williams-Beuren syndrome. People with this syndrome are highly gregarious, exceptionally empathetic, and exhibit an extreme, almost pathological lack of social fear. They will walk up to complete strangers and treat them like their best friends. It is a cognitive impairment caused by the deletion of specific genes. We didn't just tame the wolf, we selectively bred them for a cognitive disorder. We systematically amplified a genetic defect because we liked how it made them act. The boundless enthusiasm your dog shows when you walk in the room, the desperate need to be touched and acknowledged, that isn't a philosophical choice to love you. That is Williams-Beuren syndrome on a species-wide scale. We physically rewired their brains so they would have no choice but to be obsessed with us. The chemical chains. But we didn't stop at their DNA. We also hacked their neurochemistry. Let's talk about eye contact. In the animal kingdom, a prolonged stare is rarely a good thing. For a wolf, looking directly into the eyes of another wolf is a challenge. It is a threat. It means, I am going to fight you. But what does your dog do? Your dog looks deeply into your eyes, sometimes for minutes on end. Researchers in Japan decided to measure what happens inside the brains of dogs and humans when they lock eyes. They found that when a dog and its owner stare at each other, both of their brains experience a massive spike in a hormone called oxytocin. Oxytocin is often called the love hormone, or the cuddle chemical. It is the exact same hormone that floods a mother's brain when she looks at her newborn baby. It creates an unbreakable bond of trust and affection. We have hijacked their oxytocin loop. We have inserted ourselves into the deepest, most primal bonding mechanism of their biology. When your dog looks at you, their brain is chemically flooding them with the sensation of a mother's love. They are addicted to us, on a molecular level. The contrast of control. Let's pause and look at the power dynamic here, because the contrast is staggering. In episode 1, we established that the cat is a creature of high independence. The cat retained its wild instincts, its hunting prowess, and its psychological autonomy. The cat looked at human society and figured out how to use us for its own benefit. When a cat purrs to get food, it is manipulating our systems. The cat is the puppet master. But the dog? The dog is the puppet. The cat is a roommate who convinced you to pay all the rent. The dog is a prisoner who has been genetically brainwashed to worship the warden. A cat loves you because you are convenient. A dog loves you because we fundamentally broke its ability to exist without you. The physical and mental toll. And this control hasn't just cost them their psychological freedom, it has cost them their bodies. Once we realized we could mold their minds, we went mad with power and started molding their flesh. We didn't just breed for behavior anymore, we bred for human amusement. Look at the pug. Look at the English bulldog. We bred their snouts to be so incredibly flat, because we thought it looked cute and human-like, that they can barely breathe. They suffer from severe respiratory distress, skin infections, and spinal deformities. We created biological anomalies that live their entire lives gasping for air, just so they would look good on a couch. Look at the working breeds. The border collies, the German shepherds. We engineered them to have limitless stamina and an obsessive need to perform tasks. We built them to herd sheep across miles of rugged terrain or guard estates against intruders. And what do we do with them now? We lock them in one-bedroom apartments for 10 hours a day while we go to work. Is it any wonder that dogs suffer from massive rates of clinical anxiety and depression? Separation anxiety isn't just a dog missing you. It is the psychological collapse of an animal whose entire genetic purpose has been tied to a human being, suddenly finding itself alone. We gave them a mind that requires us to function, and then we leave them behind. Chapter 6. The Illusion of Free Will. This brings us to the ultimate, chilling question of this episode. What is love without free will? If I build a robot, program it to follow me around, and code its artificial intelligence to say, I love you, every time I enter the room, does the robot actually love me? Or is it just executing its programming? Your dog is made of flesh and bone, not metal and silicon. Their emotions are real. Their joy is real. Their pain is real. But the origin of those emotions is artificial. It was designed by us. We look at dogs as our loyal companions. We pat ourselves on the back for being such benevolent masters. But the truth is much darker. We played God. We took a wild, perfect predator, and we broke it down until it had nothing left but an agonizing, desperate need for our approval. They don't love us unconditionally. They love us because they literally cannot survive, psychologically or physically, without us. We are their entire universe, not by their choice, but by our design. The ultimate open loop. So, we have the cat, the manipulator, the creature that controls us from the shadows of our own homes. And we have the dog, the manipulated, the creature we engineered to love us, stripping away its freedom in exchange for eternal loyalty. We exist in a tight, controlled triangle with these two animals. We think this is the whole world. We think these are the rules of the game. You either control or you are controlled. But down in the dark, beneath the floorboards, in the sewers, scurrying through the alleys of our greatest cities, there is another creature. A creature that watches the cat, and learns. A creature that watches the dog and adapts. A creature that humans have spent thousands of years trying to exterminate with poison, traps, and fire, and failed completely. They are not manipulated by us, and they certainly don't love us. But what if I told you that the creature that is supposed to fear the cat doesn't fear it anymore? What if I told you their minds have been hacked by something far older and far more terrifying than human genetics? Join us in episode 3 as we descend into the shadows to talk about the rats.